Yes.
Yes, Ronak sir, you can start now.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Okay, so dear participants, for the day 2 and the session 2, our expert Professor Jignesh Bhatt is with us. I welcome you, Jignesh sir, to enlighten the expertise on the topic communication and connectivity for wearable devices. Professor Jignesh Bhatt received his bachelor degree and master degree in instrument and control engineering from Gujarat University and IIT Roorkee, respectively. After obtaining industrial experience, he is presently serving to Instrumentation and Control Engineering Department, Faculty of Technology, Dharamsingh Desai University, Nadiad, from last 22 years. As an associate professor, he is also providing service for training and placement department also. Professor Bhatt has published several research papers in international conference journals and delivered invited expert lectures at prestigious technical international conferences, symposia also. Professor Bhatt actively contributed in international book writing project by Springer and IGI Global. Sir is currently serving as a reviewer and editorial board member in many peer-reviewed international journals, including IEEE and elsewhere, and also served as a session chair in many international conferences. Sir research interests include automation, measurement and instrumentation, telemetry systems, smart city, smart grid, and wireless sensor network, with special focus on industrial and real life applications. So thank you very much. Now, Jignesh sir, mic is to you.
Thank you very much for giving such a informative introduction. My name is Jignesh Bhatt. I'm working with DDU. I hope my voice is clearly reaching to all. Can we confirm once?
Yes, sir.
Am I clearly audible, or are there any noise issues?
No, sir. You are audible perfectly.
One thing which I would like to request you, I have sent the mail of presentation. Right now, I am unable to share my video. So, if you share the presentation, then is it possible to share my video?
Yes, sir. Please.
If you can share the presentation from their side, is it possible to share my video also?
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir.
Okay, so I have sent the mail of presentation. If you can receive it and load it, then I will resume accordingly.
Okay, okay, sir.
Meanwhile, we will go ahead with
present the presentation PPT which is sent to you in email.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I will do.
Meanwhile, very good morning to all of you. A wonderful mass I am able to see in front of me on this platform of Google Meet. My area of interest is instrumentation and control engineering, and I have been working with Dharamsingh Desai University from last 21 years. In today's session, we will focus upon the communication aspects, communication, connectivity, communication protocol, technology standards, which are specifically utilized with variable devices. Now, first, let us begin with the coverage of this presentation. I have tried to make it as interesting as possible. Normally, such technical presentations becomes slightly loaded and boring, and that is why I have tried to make it interesting by including the information which the professors or faculty members are in need of. So in this presentation, meanwhile, Ronak sir is loading the presentation. In this presentation, we will take an outline of this. begin with the introduction and classification of variable devices, where the specific focus would be on. Okay, Ronak sir, are you done? Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, I would appreciate if the other participant, everyone will also keep the video on, so that this becomes an interactive kind of a session. Otherwise, it looks little, you know, kind of speaking kind of feeling I'm getting. Anyway, it is a Dr. G. Sudas madam is saying that he is not changing. Voice is also breaking. Dr. G. Sudas, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Voice is cutting.
Still, there is a problem. Still, my voice is breaking.
Now it's clear, sir.
Okay. So let's go ahead. Thank you, Sujaji. Okay. First of all, variable devices, you might have gone through the interesting introductory information regarding variable devices in the yesterday's session. First session.
Yes, sir. Now we can start.
Yes. So now we will look upon the communication aspects, and whatever is required from the communication aspect. Thank you, Shivani ji. Whatever is required from the communication aspects, that we shall focus upon. Our main focus would be on the communication aspects. As we can realize, these days the variable devices are growing in terms of utilization. But as far as variable devices are concerned, basically from instrumentation perspective, these variable devices are data acquisition devices. These are smart devices which are data acquisition devices. They keep on collecting data silently, and then they produce some results which could be of our interest or users' interest, right? in a meaningful way, so that we can utilize that information, right? And then modify our strategies or modify our future work activity accordingly, right? So if these devices are not having proper kind of communication or connectivity, right, then there is no meaning of using these devices. This is something like a human body who is having all the organs, all the hands and limbs and everything, eyes and ears, but without nervous system. So communication, connectivity are the nervous system of this entire variable devices and the systems which are formed using variable devices. The nervous system is doing bidirectional communication work, right? It is serving as a bidirectional communication, not only single direction communication. And communication system is associated with one data logging facilities also, that we will see subsequently in the next slides. Can you please go to next slide, please? Okay, so we will begin with various application domains after classification of variable devices. Perumalji, I hope now it is changing. Yes, thank you. After that application domain, see, we have to first see the applications. Without understanding the applications, we cannot design or we cannot think about the communications, right? So the applications we will see, various domains and applications. After that, slowly we will go into communication architectures. What kind of architectures we need for the communications? Then we will see relevant communication technologies, aspects, protocols, standards. Right? These are various important terminology that we shall discuss. Some case studies we shall discuss, which are real life case studies, and from the communication context we shall discuss. Then we shall discuss, of course, the security concerns when the communication is enabled, right? Any device which is communication enabled, it has to have a security aspect, security concerns that are very important, privacy concerns. We shall also evolve design thinking from this. Some policy matters we will look upon, and those policy matters which are requiring the change in the management of the companies, which are requiring the change in the management of the government organizations, right, who are governing this this entire domain, that we shall point out. Then we shall identify some specific challenges. This identified specific challenges would be our future work, directions for our future work. I will also share with you some glimpses of what work we are doing at DDU. I will also share with you some funding opportunities. Those who are interested to continue their research work, their sponsored research work in this area, those funding opportunities, that also I will share, and then we shall end the presentation. Right. Next slide, please. Ronak bhai, next slide, please. Thank you. So I hope, Ronak sir, I hope we are going properly without any problem.
Yes, sir. No, there is no problem from our side.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You can go ahead.
Okay. So intermittently, I will keep checking this so that the link is broken or not. That feedback I will get. Right. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So wearable devices are basically miniature computational devices. These are miniature, small size computational devices which are having computational abilities, right? With wireless capabilities. Some people have earlier developed some devices which were having wired communication abilities like USB or so, but to provide the convenience to the users, nowadays most of the wearable devices are available with the wireless communication capabilities, right? These devices are small, they are kept or designed, their main aspect is to keep them as small as possible, so that they are convenient, they can be handy, they can be carried by the user at any other place. Okay. Similarly, these devices are kept at affordable cost, right, so that they will become popular. If exorbitant cost, then the people will not choose it, right? Their design is made as convenient and user friendly as possible, right, so that minimum number of commands are required, minimum number of complexities are required, configurations are required from the user side to make it usable, as well as conveniently usable. That is the main aspect of this devices. These are ICT enabled devices. These devices can communicate, this device can think, these devices can process the data, not only acquire the data, they can process the data and produce the results in a meaningful way. They can produce the result in front of a user in a meaningful way, a easy to understand way or simple way, right, so that the user can take appropriate action based on that data and its analysis. Mainly these devices are used for many applications, but most of the applications as far as wearable devices are concerned are for human assistance, to help the human being, to assist the human being in biomedical monitoring and in alert generation, right? During this COVID-19 pandemic, these devices are extremely useful. One such a very popular device is pulse oximeter, right? So these devices are generating alerts, right? These alerts are not only local alerts, right, on the screen alerts. These devices are having capabilities to generate the remote alerts. For example, they can generate the alert in terms of SMS, they can generate the alert in terms of some kind of pre-recorded calls, just like that. So these devices are smart devices that way, and for that necessary infrastructure is already built in. But these devices are constrained devices. There are various constraints. As these devices are wireless devices, the first and important constraint is battery, right? How much charge a battery can hold. That battery or the charge of the battery is how frequently the charging is required. That is one of the major constraints. Second is range, right? In which range, which coverage they can operate, right? Small range, small devices, right? Of course. Then the data rate, right? There are, I hope most of the participants are knowing that there are two types of broadly communication possible with this kind of devices. One is supervised or the packet based access, in which periodically, without the supervisor or the network coordinator device is asking or not, the device keeps on sending the data periodically, whatever is measured, right? That keeps on sending. And second is supervised communication, under which the master slave communication technology is implemented, and master keeps on asking for the data which the device is sending at very high rate, right? So data rate is variable in that sense, right? So that is also one of the constraints, because higher data rate consumes lot of consumption of battery, and the processing is required. Further, the communication is to be kept required. Latency is a very critical aspect here, right? Depending upon the latency, the devices are classified also, the devices are selected also. In specific applications which are related to somebody's life, like biomedical applications, latency is a very important aspect, very crucial parameter, right? Similarly, connection density, whenever we are trying to form a network of these kind of devices in one particular small network, how many devices can join? That is called connection density, right? And the last one is security. So these are all constraints. But as we can see in this graph, from 2015 onwards, the devices are gaining popularity, and the number of shipments are rising, exponentially rising, right? And specifically after COVID, the rise is quite steep. Further, it is forecasted that the rise is going to be very high in coming years up to 2026. Next slide, please. What are these devices? Let's have a small idea about it, right? Specifically, we will be concentrating upon the human assistance kind of devices, or those kind of devices which are used for biomedical applications. There are various types of devices broadly classified based on their connection with the body, human body. Some are near body devices, right, which are e-patches. They are smart bands. Many kids are nowadays very popularly using smart bands. Tracking sensors, which are also used with the animals. There are some on-body sensors like ECG and EEG monitors. Posture correcting devices, specifically for the people who are working with IT applications or IT services, and they are having this problem nowadays. Everybody is having this problem in case of work from home. So posture is very important. Safety devices, some kind of safety devices. One that kind of safety devices here which we are working upon for specific kind of gas leakage detection, that we shall discuss in the last part of this presentation. Smart clothes, right? The clothes which are already having inbuilt wearable devices. Similarly, in-body implantable devices which will keep measuring certain specific biological parameters. Sometimes they are affixed on the body in form of tattoos also. They will keep acquiring data of crucial parameters, right? And then they send that data outside, right? This kind of in-body implantable devices are used in localization of cancer cells and their treatments, right? They are also used in heart surgeries. They are also used in stone problems in the kidneys. Those kind of devices are called in-body devices. Then there are some upper mounted, head mounted devices which are also used with the specific algorithms like augmented reality type of glasses, relaxation masks, personal entertainment systems, audio headsets, right, personal assistants, and neural interfaces, etc. Many of you might have seen this Matrix movies, right, in which this kind of devices are shown or displayed. Similarly, some lower body devices, they are including the smart shoes, smart belts, smart pants, etc. Some wrist or hand held devices are included. These are smart rings or tags. They are wristbands or smart watches, etc. Next slide, please. Now, based on the applications or functionality types, let us have a look at how these devices are classified. Communication functionality. This is the focus area of this presentation. Right? It provides the potential not to process data locally, but to exchange it with surrounding nodes or remote clouds. Many times to serve or to cater a particular application needs, the different types of nodes or different types of devices are clubbed together to form a small personalized network. For example, ICU application, right? For every patient included or admitted in ICU, right, there are different devices which are connected with the patient body, internally, externally, both types of devices. And patient-wise, small network, ad hoc network is prepared, right? When the patient is discharged, that ad hoc network is ended, and then new ad hoc network is prepared for a new patient. So patient wise, one ad hoc network is prepared, and based on that functionality, each device is contributing data in that ad hoc network. There is one coordinator kept nearby the patient bed, and then that coordinator device will keep on aggregating, acquiring and aggregating that data and fetching that data to the central processing unit where the shift doctors are sitting or the medical supervisors are sitting, right? In front of those medical supervisors, that data is properly presented in a proper format which they can understand and interpret, and based on that, the medication related decisions are taken. Similarly, control input functionality. One of the functionality which is very useful in the industrial application is this control input functionalities, right, which we shall see if the time permits. Right, educational and professional sports, right, education aspect, there are various types of supervised learnings where we are using these devices, and professional sports, very popular application of this is the hawk eye in the cricket nowadays, which is used during the third umpire decision, right? So there are many such applications which are interesting applications. Similarly, entertainment and gaming, laser functionalities. Many of you might have seen those kind of simulators or simulator kind of laser applications in most of the malls or those kind of areas, laser areas. Then there is one important area is healthcare and medical functionalities, which is separated from conventional sensing, and this is a very specialized sensing. Location tracking functionality, this is used mainly in the logistic applications where the material is being dispatched from one place to another place, and they generate the notification, right? Safety, security functionality, and other functionalities, notification functionalities are other aspects. Next slide, please. So technology wise or the academics wise, pharma, healthcare wise, these are the various manufacturers, right? And most of the academic institutions like UNSW or University of Leeds, and they are also joining this research. In India, many educational institutions like IITs, IIT Madras and IIT Delhi, they are also contributing to this research. Many good, reputed universities research. A good amount of research is taking place. Next slide, please. This kind of researches are research work, the sponsored research projects from the industries, right? So these are the application domains, wellness domains, which takes care of fitness, heart rate, foot pods, pedometers, smart glasses and watches, healthcare and medical domains, blood pressure monitors, glucose monitors, insulin pumps, defibrillators, specifically which are used with the heart problems, drug delivery mechanisms, right? ECG monitors, hearing aids. Normally, this kind of applications are getting very much popularity with the elderly care applications domains, right? So this particular area is developed keeping in mind the elderly care or the parameters which are associated with the elderly care. Not only with that, but in some kind of military applications also, they are very popular. Industrial as well as gaming are also getting popularity. We are focusing mainly on the healthcare and medical applications. Next slide, please. As far as the healthcare applications are concerned, the invasive applications are including the neurology and oncology applications, vaginal ring gynecology applications. Similarly, external applications also include the clothing and headset, mainly for external testing and data collection, as well as for the neurological applications, cardiological applications like pacemaker. They also finding the applications. Next slide, please. Okay, now let us have some idea about the specific applications, right? As you can see in this slide, variable acoustic sensor is connected with this girl. This acoustic sensor is able to take the data regarding the speech ability or the speech sensor, and what quality of speech this girl can produce, this human being can produce, and that data it is sending by externally connecting the sensor here, right? Now this data is basically a small data, small signal which are low frequency AC, and this data is converted into digital, and it is formed properly by removing, and then it is sent to the remote location. Similarly, you can also carry out the ECG measurement using this. Now, I hope many of the participants are aware with QRS complex, PQRS wave of the ECG, and this PQ, P wave, TQ wave, R wave, S wave, T wave. This is a typical pattern which is followed in an ECG waveform. I think it is visible here also. Is my pointer visible? Mouse pointer visible? Can you see my mouse pointer? Okay, so this
Sir, it's not possible because I am.
Okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. Then I will suggest you to location. No issue. So can you point it at the upward side, and then peak detection it is written. Peak detection. Thoda sa niche. Yes, that one. This is the QRS complex, right? P, Q, R, S, and T wave. Right now, it is very interesting to see here that all the human beings, whenever we are connecting the ECG leads on the V1 to V7, AVL, AVR, and all the limbs and all the hands and all the leads are connected, right? All the human beings, it could be a small child or it could be a very old person, right? They are producing the wave like this. They are producing the wave like this. Even if the person is healthy or even if the person is having some problem, the wave is exactly like this, right? But there is a change in the shape of the wave. there is a change in the shape of the P wave, Q wave, R wave, S wave, and T wave. Because of this change, the domain expert, who is the domain expert here? Doctor, right? They can understand that the person is having some problem, right? Even if you don't have, many people are having this misunderstanding that ECG is only used for heart related applications. No. Even if you have a gastrointestinal problem, you can have the orthopedic problem, right? ECG is one short solution. If you take out ECG and show it to the domain expert, the domain expert can even tell you that you are having the sleep problem, you are having the sleepless nights. So I got fortunate to work with the biomedical instrumentation lab of IIT Roorkee, which was very popular for ECG, right? So now the important part here is, if this PQRST wave is not properly acquired, point number one. Point number two, it is not properly processed. And point number three, it is not properly communicated. How the doctors will take the decision, right? So the role of communication here, right, it is becoming very, very important, right? Don't forget that the communication is always subjected to have external noise, spurious signals, etc. These are the problems, right? But these kind of crucial signals, right, are to be properly preserved and properly availed. Number one. Number two, the past history of these signals is also required. So not only the present monitoring, present collection of data and representation is required. Many times the doctors are asking for the past history, specifically for the patients which are there in the ICU, right? In the last 15 days, how was the ECG? What was the highest value of the R peak or S valley? That they will, these kind of questions they will need to answer. And because of that, the role of these wearable devices becomes very, very crucial, right? I hope you are getting my point. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, we can see that the person is standing with the wearable device Amulet, and the data is sent in the mobile phone, right? So here the person is healthy, right? But he is monitoring his health. All the parameters are monitored, right? How much he has walked, how much he has run or jogged, right? So all those parameters, and what were the impact on his body after 15 minutes jogging, right? So all those parameters are connected, right? And those parameters are properly modified, suitably modified. This is called signal conditioning, and then they are represented on the mobile phone. So communication does not include only communicating from the device to the device or device to the system, right? It also includes proper format changing, proper modification of the data, and proper representation of the data, right? Similarly, when there is a central health record system, right? For example, there are 10 people who are critically monitored by a single doctor, right? So the doctor is getting this data remotely via communication. Now, what could be the communication here between the person's body and the mobile phone? It is a low range network. It is a low range network. But between the mobile phone and the remote health record system, it would be the cellular network. Right? Next slide, please. Okay, one more application we shall see, right? This is very popular for the orthopedic application as well as with the sportsmen, right, who are having frequent orthopedic issues, right? So limb related application has been shown here, right? You can connect it on the knee, you can connect it on limb, and that data of the muscles activity, the data of the jerk when a person is feeling, all those physiotherapy related data is acquired and sent to the remote location. Next slide, please. Okay, so let us have a look at communication architectures, right? What should be the communication architecture? I have shown you, or I have discussed with you different types of applications before going on the topic of the communication. It was required because from application to application, from domain to domain, the communication design will be different. There is no single architecture which will be applicable to all the applications. No, right? So it would be a specialized architecture which we right? Okay. Now, can you little zoom it, Ronak sir? Okay. Now, let us focus upon the standalone variable, right? Standalone variable, right? Now, here the left hand side top. Okay. Here we will keep noting down this. Thank you. Good enough. We will note down this these notations. Thick line is wired link. Blue dotted line is short range wireless link. Red dotted line is WLAN link. I hope WLAN is clear to you. Let me remind you, for those who are not from this communication domain, short range wireless is something like Zigbee or Bluetooth, right? While WLAN is Wi-Fi. WLAN is a popular word which is used for Wi-Fi, which is high data rate link. And cellular link is the mobile link. For example, 2G, 2.5G, there is GPRS, or 3G, or 4G, which is LTE, or 5G, right? So slowly, can you please scroll down a little bit? Little bit more. Okay. Now, first architecture we shall discuss is wired connectivity with local processing unit. Now, when we need this, when one device, can you please zoom it a little bit on wired connectivity with local processing unit? Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So can you focus it upon the first part, wired connectivity? I think the share has ended. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jairam sir. Okay. Now these devices, smart devices, wearable devices, are needing application programs to be downloaded, right? So thank you, Shivani. Application programs are to be downloaded. When you want to connect it with the host computer, right, which is having the application programs, normally the program designers are sitting on this processing unit, right? From application to application, from even from user to user, some modifications in the programs are required before finally implementing and use it, right? So whenever the applications are to be downloaded, right, we need to connect the coordinator. This black color device is the coordinator, right? And this left hand side mobile phone like device is the wearable device, is to be connected with the coordinator, right? Now here this coordinator is nothing but the computer itself, right? This is a CPU, right? So whenever you are connecting using wire, right, which is the wire? Normally it is USB, right? So whenever you are using the wire to implement those programs, modified programs, download those programs in the device, it is called a wired connectivity with a local processing unit, right? This is the first application. Second application, when the device storage capacity, variable device storage capacity is full with the data, and you need to take that data in the local processing unit for some specific purpose, to vacate the space, or to avail the data for a specific requirement or a query, right? Then also wired connectivity is used. This is as good as we are taking some data from our mobile phone using a data cable inside the computer or a laptop. Next is wireless connectivity with local processing unit or cloud. Now here the cloud has been added. So what is this cloud? Cloud is the professionally available data storage space, right? Very popularly, we are all using this Google Cloud, which is known as Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive. It is also a cloud, right? So for this kind of applications, the companies are hiring the cloud space, right? Somebody can ask that why, sir, we are already having a lot of amount of storage space available in our hard drive. Why should we hire cloud? Clouds are having very different concept, right? Cloud data can be accessed from anywhere in the world. Point number one. So for that, you don't need to develop your internet-based server and take care of it whenever there are external attacks on you. Second, your data will be secured in the cloud, right? And that cloud will give you the data whenever you need it. So retrieval is also possible. Third, you can locally process it, upload in the cloud, and then download from the cloud, again process it. That kind of application is also possible. Cloud will not only source to your processing units like these computers which are shown here. This is not a single computer, mind well, it is a network of computers, right? And many times it is spread across cities, right? So larger geographical area, right? Cloud is not only serving to your processing units or computers. Cloud is also sourcing that data to your mobile phones. This is something like Dropbox. You upload some file in the Google Drive or Dropbox, and from your laptop, which is a processing unit, and then or your computer, and then you use that data after downloading it on your mobile phone or on your laptop remotely at some other location, right? So availing that data is also available. Similarly, sharing that data to somebody else who may be or may not be on the same network, who may be a user or may not be the user of the same network. Similarly, wireless connectivity via smartphone gateway. You can use the smartphone as a gateway, right? And you can send that data to a remote location, right? Now here AP and BS. What is AP? It is the aggregator. It is the data aggregator, something like your wireless LAN hub, right? Router. And BS is a base station. Base station is basically the large size data aggregator, which will be connecting the data from not only single phone but multiple phones, right? This can be a cellular communication link also. Go a little down. Can you please scroll a little down? Hello, Ronak sir. Okay, thank you. Right. So whenever you want to send the wireless data connectivity, whenever you want to send that data to wireless to the remote location, right? You can have two types of connectivity. WLAN means Wi-Fi, that you have to send it via Wi-Fi signal, and base station you can send it via cellular signal. Now little on the right hand side, that figure. Please zoom out so that the entire figure is visible. Okay. Okay. So this is how it works. The wearable device, it is a conventional one. If it is conventional one, it will not have any cloud access, right? No cloud access. But if it is heterogeneous, right, then it will be having both cloud access as well as the local access, right? Local access is used for generation of local alerts, but cloud access is used for the remote telemetry purpose, which we shall see in the next slide. Next slide, please. Heterogeneous network is normally mixed of two types of network, where two types of networks are mixed together to serve a particular application, right? There are three main types of communication technologies, right? There are three main types of communication technologies. Short range communication technologies, long range communication technologies, and device to device type communication technologies. Mainly device to device type communication technologies are used for task caching and offloading, right? For each application, right, the entire application, for example, let's say oxygen content variation while a person is running or jogging, right? That is one application. That application is split or broken into several small sub applications, right? And for all those small applications, different tasks are prepared, software tasks are prepared, and they are running, right? All those tasks are using the cache memories, and all those tasks are running in the cache memories that are a part of the random access memories, and then they keep on generating data, right, which are processed data or semi-processed data. These data is used by other tasks also, or the main applications also, right? So this is called program inside a program, right? And ultimately they offload that data to the data storage device, and ultimately to the remote location, right? So that is the main aspect here for device to device based communication technology. Second one is software defined communication, right? So for specific software applications, let's say a user is running a query that 5 days ahead, what was my oxygen content when I ran for or jogged for 5 kilometers or 3 kilometers, right? That is called software defined communication, or this is called query, right? Millimeter wave based communication, social aware communication, these are the personal communications which are taking place between device to device, between husband and wife, between children, right? So how much you are away and how much you have run, how much jogged you have, or how much calories you have burned, those kind of device to device communication which are having the social context, right, or personal context, they are also there, right? So can you please zoom on this short range table? Yes. To solve the short range applications, there are different communication technologies used, right? The first one is RFID. RFID is very popular and it is for authentication purpose, right? A low frequency application, 125 to 134 kilohertz primarily, and a low range applications within the 100 meters, right? It varies with the frequency and it consumes less power, right? Very less power. Second is NFC, near field communication. Most of the people who are having a smart TV at their home, right, and they are using this screen mirroring, application, they might have used this. This is basically a, technically speaking, near field communication, right, and it works on 13.56 megahertz, right, and it is in a very small range within 0.2 meters, right, very low, right. So you have to keep the device which is carrying the screen or mobile phone nearby the TV, right. Bluetooth, right, with new profile, BLE profile, and that is used in a very high frequency application, and it can communicate a very high data rate. You can see that up to 24 Mbps speed is available, right? Similarly, Zigbee. Zigbee is a very wonderful technology and very popular technology. It is based on IEEE 802.15.4 standard of IEEE, and it has got three specialized network frequency bands. First, two are the sub gigahertz bands, which are 868 megahertz and 902 megahertz, and second is the gigahertz band, 2.4 gigahertz band. These three are very popular in India. Mainly people are using 868 and 2.4 gigahertz frequency. This Zigbee is very popular in ISM applications, industrial, scientific, and medical applications. This is license-free band, so you don't need to have a license, and that is why most of the wearable device communications are taking place in Zigbee, right? Similarly, Zigbee is also having a lot of security features and very wonderful features like sniff and sniff abilities. Whenever the Zigbee device is not in need of communication, it will keep on sleeping. It will go to sleep mode and save the power. So as far as the comparison is concerned, the Zigbee are consuming quite less amount of power, right? And for the same battery, right, the Zigbee devices can run for a very much longer period of time. Zigbee devices are having sniff abilities, which will keep on sniffing where any kind of signal is developed or not, just like a sniffer dog is able to sniff and identify some kind of special behavior, right? Similarly, or special situation. Similarly, the Zigbee devices are having sniff abilities. Whenever there is a change of data, they work upon change of data. right? They keep on communicating the data, and when they find that the data is getting repeated in a particular range, right, small range, then they say that the data signal has got stabilized. So so they, at that point of time, they go to sleep mode to save upon the power. In the sleep mode, they turn off the communication antenna, and that power consumption they save, right? But they keep on collecting the data. As soon as they find the change in the data, that is called sniffing, they wake up and then they start sending the data. These are the wonderful facilities available with this ZigBee, and most of the research work is carried out in ZigBee. Similarly, in the short range, Wi-Fi is also used, very popular, but Wi-Fi is highly power consuming, because it always remains on, and VLC is also there. Okay, little bit scroll downwards, please. Long range, we are having narrow band IoT, right? Basically, this is a wired one. Narrow band IoT, LTE. LTE is 4G, right? Very popularly known as 4G, right? And it is a part of the cellular band, right? Cellular frequency band. Similarly, NB IoT is also part of cellular frequency band. Similarly, two other applications, LOI and Sigfox, are also working on the sub-gigahertz band, but they consume very low power. Next slide, please. Okay. So let us have a comparative analysis of which are frequently used technologies. Satellite is also one of the prominent technology which people are using, right? And they are used for specific kind of applications, which are including geo stationary or GI applications, which are position related or the location related applications, right? The positive part of satellite are stable connection, because not many people are using it, right? So stable connection, mainly the low orbit Earth satellite is used. This satellite related applications are basically the weather forecasting related applications, and those kind of applications where the mobile connectivity, cellular connectivity, or the Wi-Fi, or it is not possible to have a Wi-Fi or near field communication, or even ZigBee is also not useful. There the satellite communication link is used, right, to communicate the data at the remote location. They are very stable connections. They offer universal compatibility. So even if somebody is communicating outside the continent, outside the country, right, then also the compatibility issues will not be there. Standardized data formats. But they are having some limitations also, like no direct connection to device except the satellite phones. Direct connection from device to device is not there. It is expensive, and the permissions are required for taking that kind of communication or enabling that kind of communication. Plus, the main limitation of satellite is higher power consumption. Similarly, Wi-Fi, again, it is universally compatible, affordable, controllable, because we can have the network administrator, they can control or manage it. Similarly, higher power consumption are the limitations of the Wi-Fi. They are unstable and inconsistent. They are having the main problems of securities, right? Wi-Fi security is a very big issue, right? And most of the hackers are attacking on this Wi-Fi or 802.11 type of accesses, and that is one of the most prominent issue which people are facing. Radio frequency, RF, these are also including the ZigBee. They are having merits like low power consumption. They are simple in nature. This is the biggest advantage, right? But they need the network coordinator devices. So some devices are to be kept as a network coordinator, and some devices work as a node, right? And no direct connection to internet. So if you are using this kind of devices, and if you want to port your data on the internet to the remote location, right, or remote server, then you need a backend or backhaul kind of communication. For example, you can have one network of ZigBee or a radio frequency network or RF network of ZigBee, and then that data which they are collecting, that has to be connected with one computer, and that computer remains connected with the internet, right, via fiber or those kind of Ethernet, wired Ethernet, high speed Ethernet connectivity. and then based on that data can be ported. So this devices does not have, as if now, direct connection to the internet. Okay. Similarly, in one more approach, you can have that you can have an aggregator or the data collector, base station, and base station will have the internet connectivity, right? Via cellular mode or via fiber, right? Similarly, RFIDs are limited to only the identification. They are having the least power consumption. That is their biggest advantage. But they are also having the problems like recurring expenditure on every card. So as many number of devices you keep on adding, the expenditure for taking the RFID tag or getting the RFID tag would be a recurring expenditure. Many RFIDs are having compatibility issues also. Bluetooth is very popular, very simple. Even small kids are also using it, right? But the limitations of Bluetooth are higher power consumption, very high power consumption, and they are power hungry devices, right? Connection limitations. One device using Bluetooth, it is difficult to prepare a network of a large number of devices. Small network you can prepare, less than 8 to 10 devices, and that too in latest versions of Bluetooth, right? Otherwise, normally it is used for device to device communication only. Near field communication is also used in largest devices only, and required. These are the limitations. They are quite short range. They work with low security. Encryption is available. That is the good part. So this is how we have compared different technologies. Now we shall see the applications. Next slide, please. Hello, Ronak sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. Thank you, Pratap ji. Sashika ji, thank you. Screen sharing has ended, I think. Okay. It is visible to all participants now. Participant, anybody can confirm? Okay. Thank you, Shashikala. So now, okay, previous slide, please. Okay, thank you. So wearable mobile devices, what are the communication aspects and what are the communication architectures they work upon? Ultra short range, you need to have NFC kind of devices for payment related applications, for micro events, small events, right? Screen sharing, etc. Short range, you need to use Bluetooth, right? For backup, synchronization, data analytics, data sharing, and device configuration. You need to change some configuration in the device. For example, you need to change the configuration of wearable watch or something like smart bands, etc. Right? You can use Bluetooth. Synchronization of the data, you can use Bluetooth. Backup of the data, you can use Bluetooth. Right? Similarly, you want to communicate to remote location, you can use Wi-Fi and cellular. Cellular is very popular today, right? And that would be used for large size data backup, right? Synchronization and data analytics at remote location for third party application. Next slide, please. So here we can see one interesting application, right? From network architecture point of view. Here a patient or a person, right? He is connected with ECG, EEG sensors. All these sensors are connected. Respiration and movement sensors are also connected, right? These are all in-body sensors or implantable sensors. Some blood pressure measurement devices are also connected, and all these kind of devices are connected. Noise sensors are also connected. Temperature is also measured. Ambient light is also measured. So the patient is kept into one, controlled environment where the ambient situations like light intensity, like temperature, like noise, external noise, etc. are monitored, as well as the person is himself herself is also monitored for various parameters. So these devices are attached. These are called the wearable devices. Right? These devices are prepared in such a manner that they will provide minimum discomfort to the person while taking the measurement. Right? Otherwise, the person's reaction will change. Person's response will change. Specifically, when he or she would be a small kid or the elderly people, and the dependability or the reliability of the readings which we are collecting will also change. Right? So without providing or with providing minimum discomfort to the person, we are trying to take the readings. This is the main important point which everyone should understand while designing these devices and the network which are incorporating this device. Right? So in this room where the patient is kept, right, the entire room is prepared with the network, and all these devices are forming that network. Okay. Now this data is connected by the aggregators, and using that aggregators, this data is sent to remote location, right, using 3G 4G communication, like cellular one. Right, you are sending to the data if emergency conditions are there. You the same data is also sent via access point and local displays to the internet for the immediate family. In case of any kind of alert is required, some kind of emergency situation is there, right, the same data is fetched to the medical staff or the doctors, right, to take care of them, right, and they come back or they respond back in form of a biofeedback, right. So these devices will collect the data related to crucial body parameters and automatically generate alerts for the remote people, right, for the family members, for the doctors, for the emergency vans or ambulance, right, to take care of the person in case of emergency, right. So this is a fantastic application for the patient under crucial monitoring or elderly care. Now here all the low range communications, short range communications are internal or within the room. Medium range communications are between the devices or the network of the room and these aggregators, and the large range communications are between the aggregators and the remote persons. I hope this idea is clear. Right? Next slide, please. Okay. So what happens in the remote location where we have a server? This server is having a database. This is, mind well, this is not a this is not a single server. This is not a single computer. It's a network of a server which keeps on logging the data on the central database, right? And the data is also modified suitably, amplified suitably. And the clinic keeper who is also sitting on the network, and that data is also analyzed and suitably responded back by the clinician in form of the biofeedback. I think from somewhere some noise is coming. Aruna bhai, please, can you please take care? From some side noise is coming.
Yes, sir, carry on.
Okay, thank you. So, so this database servers are basically extensively storing this data, and they are having this database mechanisms also. This database mechanisms include MS Access type of packages, Oracle type of packages, and they work upon the query and response mechanism. The database keeps on growing as soon as the data is acquired and keep on loaded inside the database. And with growth of the data, large amount of data is available. It is stored, it is properly formatted, and it is availed in a user understandable format whenever the query is run. Next slide, please. Hello. Next slide, please.
Just a minute, sir. Hold on. Yeah.
Sorry. Hello.
Yes, it is updated, sir. Next slide is already on the screen.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. The main aspects related to communication technologies are localization and interoperability. Right? Many times it happens that the devices of different manufacturers are included in one particular network. Hello. Hello.
Yes, Ronak sir,
Am I
please.
audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible. Ronak sir, please share. I think
I think
unfortunately.
the presentation is ended.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. Now it's presenting the screen.
Yes, yes, visible now. Make it full
Jignesh,
screen.
sir, your audio is not coming.
Okay. Am I audible? Can I go?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Yes. So we were discussing about the interoperability. When a device is of different manufacturers, although they are communicating or able to communicate on the same technology or the same protocol, they are integrated into one network, right? There are interoperability issues, right? A very small example I would like to give you, right? Some pen drives are working in some computers, but they are not getting even detected in some of the computers, right? Although both are having USB ports. Many of us have experienced this, right? I hope everybody would agree with me, right? So this kind of issues are happening, compatibility issues, right? So many times Bluetooth of some device, right, is able to access the Bluetooth, able to access the other device on the Bluetooth, and sometimes some other device is not accessible. So maybe Samsung's Bluetooth and let's say Realme's Bluetooth is slightly different, right? The Bluetooth which I am getting with a laptop and I'm getting with the mobile phone is slightly different, and that creates compatibility issues, interoperability issues, right? Now, as a designer, if there are interoperability issues, then the network may sometimes get paralyzed. Because of that, we have to consider this interoperability or device to device communication quite seriously, right? Please clearly understand that Bluetooth of X device or X manufacturer and Bluetooth of Y manufacturers are not exactly same. This is what I have experienced from my personal, application development experience. Many times, although they say that okay, mine is also Bluetooth 2.0. Somebody will also say that I am also Bluetooth 2.0, right? But they use this word confirming to or compatible to, right? And that creates a problem, right? What is the meaning of, I would just take a opportunity here to share with you what is confirming to, right? That the packet size is same, but the packet structure is slightly different, right? And this is why the compatibility issues are arising. This is why the compatibility issues are arising. You may find your mobile phone or a laptop able to join the Wi-Fi network of, say, let's say, which is regulated by one particular router of, say, X company, but unable to detect the Wi-Fi router of Y company. Although Wi-Fi is the same technology, and the frequency on which the Wi-Fi are sent are also same frequency, right? But the packet structure is different, right? And that is why detection is many times not possible or compatibility issues are rising, right? Next slide, please. Okay. Can you please little zoom it on the table? as far as the packet structure is concerned, right, there are various formats available which are known as key enabling M2M communication protocols, right, which are included in form of HTTP, COAP, AMQP, MQTT, and MQTT SN versions, right? Now, what are these? Just to simply tell you, these are the data packet formatting structures, right? The data format is differently structured in all these protocols, right? Without going into much detail, right? We can scroll down a little bit. Okay, little bit more. Okay, now variable sensors are using mainly Bluetooth, Zigbee, Bluetooth with low energy, and the IEEE 15.6, right? While the coordinator devices, right, in a small network there is a coordinator which is also a part of the network, right? That coordinator device will be basically using the Bluetooth or Zigbee or the similar kind of devices for short range communication. Now for this particular applications, normally the protocol which is used is the CSV format, comma separated values, right? So the data is collected and sent to remote location in CSV format. Now this CSV format has to be converted to HTTP format when the data is sent to remote location, where it is written clinical backend server, right? Here the connectivity would be large range connectivity between variable sensors and coordinator, which are part of the same local network. The CSV format is used, and between over the Bluetooth or Zigbee kind of, while between the coordinator and the clinical backend server, which is at the remote location, the Wi-Fi or LTE or the cellular technologies are used, along with the HTTP kind of protocols are used, right? This is what I wanted to emphasize here. Next slide, please. Okay, one such case, a few case studies we shall take. We have a smart watch here, which is transmitting the raw data from the accelerometer, right? And this data is sent to RF transmitter, and RF transmitter will send that signal via RF receiver to the remote location, right? Now this RF transmitter as well as receiver are in the same location. Maybe this is a gym, or maybe this is a home, right, where this person is doing the exercise, right? And on the receiver side, you have the receiver and decoding control mechanism. The very popular Arduino kind of boards are used, right, which are part of the home automation and control. Next. Okay, so here the environment monitoring takes place, where the light sensors and occupancy sensors, PIR sensors, right, passive infrared sensors are included, and the human is entering in the room. This is a controlled environment, monitored environment, maybe a patient, right, and his activity is monitored. How many times he is going to washroom, how many times he is moving. So all these control activities are monitored. This kind of control environment are also kept for clinical drug trials and research related to new drug development also, right, where these PIR sensors are mounted in the entire room, and they keep on monitoring and sending that data to the, not only to the user or to the patient, but also to the remote location via computer server, right? This data is compared with the simulated data, and then some decisions are taken, right? Next one. With the human brain, the sensor is connected, and the sensor generated data via Bluetooth is sent to the remote location or the local location, right? Via Bluetooth it is sent to the device. So whatever a person is thinking, those signals are captured and represented in a proper way. Next. Okay, now this is very interesting. can you hack somebody's heart, right? Many times we are saying in a romantic mood that आपने मेरा दिल जीत लिया, आपने तो मेरा दिल ले लिया, right? But can somebody's heart can be hacked? Yes, heart can be hacked, right? Provided that person is using this kind of wearable device. If a wearable device is controlling the pacemaker, if wearable device is controlling the heart related devices, right? If that wearable device is hacked, then somebody's heart can be remotely hacked. This is very serious. This is very serious, and US FDA has confirmed that this is possible. All the implantable cardiac devices, including pacemakers, can be hacked remotely. And if this is hacked, then somebody can be killed also. This could be a novel way of killing somebody who is having the cardiac arrest, or who is undergoing some kind of treatment, right? Or even after discharging also, right? So this can generate incorrect kind of pacemaker outputs or shocks, and because of that the person who could have been recovered can die, right? So how this can take place? Cyber security in biomedical application, right? Next slide please. You can see here IoT security threat map. Whatever data we are able to send outside, right, it is exposed to cyber criminals, it is exposed to cyber warfare, it is exposed to ransomware, and it is exposed to various types of worms and viruses. Now, if that data is accessible, network is also accessible. If the network is accessible, they can penetrate inside the network, they can make rogue clients, they can inject the viruses inside the network, and then they can manipulate the data. Now this here is a big data. You can see in the center part, slightly upward, wherever IT is written. In the big data, if they modify the data, right, then the decisions of the doctors, decisions of the clinical people, right, or decisions of the people who are the decision making authority would be impacted. This can create a very big issue, this can create a very big problem, and that is why see this is one of the most important area which probably not many people have looked upon. Most of the people are focusing upon the application development as far as the wearable devices are concerned, but nobody is taking care of security, which is one of the key area here, right? We have heard, not very sure, right, but the virus which coronavirus which is changing its format, it's changing its and developing new and new mutants, right, is basically governed by one kind of a program, right? And maybe that kind of advanced level configuration has been kept, right, which is clubbed with the biological genomes, right? And that is why some drugs which are useful in the wave 1, now in the wave 2, wave 3, yeah, right, new drugs are to be developed, or new vaccines are to be developed. There is a requirement, right? So this is cyber bio war. This is called cyber bio war, to which we are exposed to, and it needs lot of research to be done on that side, right? This is a new emerging area of research. Next slide please. Okay, so now we are in the end of this presentation. Some key things I would like to share with you. Design thinking, right? What kind of thinking is required? What kind of approach is required? What kind of area to be seriously considered upon? First is network planning. Whenever we are working upon biomedical applications specifically, whenever we are working upon even industrial applications like Rushal Jamnagar refinery, right, or IOCL refinery, right, or even our critical SCADA network, which are controlling power plants of the entire country, right, national grid. So at that time, the network planning becomes a very, very crucial issue. I think the presentation has ended. Ronak bhai? Hello?
Yes, sir. Now it's visible.
Okay. It's appearing, not yet up. Yes. Now it is visible. First and most important is network. Device to network and device to device connectivity should be ensured properly. Backhaul planning. Backhaul means the backbone network which will connect the data from the different networks, sub networks. Intranet and internet connectivity has to be planned, right? Platform interoperability. Not all the devices are working upon the same platform. They may be working upon different platforms, and how they will, without problems of interoperability, how they will exchange the data in a meaningful way, in a time bound manner, in an effective and efficient manner, and with lot of high accuracy. That is important. So that is how the network has to be planned. Similarly, data acquisition and processing, data collection, storage, retrieval, and its organization of the data. That is also required. Analysis of that data, privacy and security, which is very much important aspect I have highlighted. Latency and speed of response is also important consideration, which we have to emphasize upon. Similarly, third design thinking is required in the area of communication and architecture. Specifically, when we are handling the big data, right? Noise and spurious signals. It is always not an external AC noise which are picked up, right? White noise is many times injected meaningfully, purposefully by the hackers in the network, where one particular network is carrying a particular data traffic. White noise is injected by eavesdropping, right? That is also one of the big problem, right? And that has to be taken care. And for that, we have to take extra care so that our actual data is not getting impacted, not getting manipulated by that white noise. Group communications. When one group is communicating with other group, right? Only the necessary data should be exchanged, right? It should not open the network for the other unauthorized people. Computation offloading, right? The computational ability of the wearable device is limited. Similarly, power is also limited, right? So if you want to carry out a complex computation, where you are going to get that complex computation done, either on the local coordinator side, or you are going to get it done on the remote server side. And after the computation is over, how the results will be sent back to the user, right? That also includes latency and speed response. It is to be planned. And the last but one of the most important aspect is human interface design and its integration. How do you develop the application, right? How do you develop the app? How do you develop the human interface and the data representation? That is also important. Next one. Yes, policy matters, right? The person who is working in this has to seriously or critically consider these policy matters which we have highlighted. First is novel technology promotion. The person or the group of people, team, should always promote the novel technology, right? They should support the interoperability. They should encourage the private sector innovation, right? Many times there is a gap between government organization and the private sector. There is a gap between academic and the industry, right? Those gaps need to be filled up, and they should evolve an environment where collaborative research projects can be taken in partnership modes of public, private, academic, research, and industry, right? It could be industry sponsored or government sponsored projects, right? But they should evolve an environment where they can work jointly. Spectrum allocation, this is a key area, and we will not discuss much into that, but spectrum is after water, probably the spectrum is going to be the next scarcity, right? And people have started feeling the scarcity even right now also. Defining security framework, right? Now here the security aspects are also relevant with the not only internal to the country but external to the country also. So proper organization or institutions like TRAI, they have to come up with the security framework also. Encouraging open data frameworks, right? Open data repository are to be generated, where the limited amount of data can be shared with the external researchers, and they can also download that data and produce some interesting results, right? Stimulating deployments of IPv6 and 5G like novel technologies, upcoming technologies. We should also promote the entrepreneurships. This also requires skill development in the workforces. See, older workforces who are having little knowledge of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth will not be useful here. Continuous skill development is required. So this has to be a part of the training, has to be a part of the policy matter. Evaluation and periodic review of the ethical concerns. See, here the data is related with the person's personal, activity, personal liking and disliking, and that is why ethical concerns are very much considered, right? Multidisciplinary staff is required now for this particular kind of work, right? You need multidisciplinary staff, people with electronics background, people with communication background, people with instrumentation background, people with the networking background and computer skills or computer science background. Multidisciplinary background people are required. Biomedical engineering, right? Design engineering or the design aspects, right? To make the products attractive or miniature, so comfortable. So multidisciplinary staff with different skills are required, and they has to be trained. Team leader should be project manager level, while now there is a requirement to have CIO, Chief IoT Officer. I think there is a R missing. Chief IoT Officer. We are very much aware about CEO, right? CFO, Chief Executive Officer, or Chief Chief Officer, right? Chief Executive Officer, CEO, or CFO, Chief Financial Officer, or Finance Officer. Here we need Chief IoT Officer is required, and that person must lead the team from the front, and he must have top management level, recruited top management level with huge domain expertise as well as strong marketing abilities. These are the policy matters which the management should keep in mind or consider seriously. Next slide, please. Now the challenges. What are the challenges? These challenges translate into or transform into the future research directions. Interoperability is one of the largest challenge. Device to device interoperability, network to network interoperability, or platform interoperability. These are the different challenges. Semantic level different operation, syntactic level interoperability is a challenge. Similarly, data acquisition, data related challenges. Not all data which we acquire are in the same format. So they are transformed into, they are manipulated into same format. They are converted into same format. Otherwise, the interpretation would be difficult by the processing cards or processing circuitries or processing servers. Right? So data acquisition is one of the specific challenge. How to acquire data? Many times the subject or the person may be very elderly people or a small kid, and in a situation where the acquisition of the data is giving discomfort to the person or a subject, then also the data acquisition would be a specific challenge. Sometimes the data is available at a particular point of location inside a human body, which is not easily accessible. Then also the data acquisition. Similarly, impact on energy consumption. How much energy you are consuming when you are developing this application, right? How much battery power is required? How much charging is required? Privacy related, right? That is also we have discussed. Localization related, right? Some data is to be localized, should not be shared with the other people because of the personal concerns. Communication and architecture related challenges, right? Inbound and outbound communications. How much data should be outbound and how much data should be inbound, right? Inbound data is used to drive the actuators, right? Or the devices, remote devices, based on the decisions taken by the clinicians or the doctors. Similarly, outbound data is for the doctors to analyze, right? So how much data has to be generated? How much data should be sent? In what format is it to be sent? That is also a very important challenge. Packet aggregation. How do you are aggregating packages, right? What is the package structure and how many packages are aggregated, right? Many times the repeated data is sent into packages, right? So how many data packets you are aggregating and send it to the remote location, right? What is the frequency of sending the data, right? Higher cellular system capacity, right? Here cellular data or cellular channel you are using. So what capacity of channel you will need, right? That is also one kind of a specific challenge. And group communication and computational offloading that we have already discussed. Next slide, please. So some work we have done in this area, and I would like to share with you some glimpses of that. This is the hardware which we have used, which is very popularly used, Arduino type of hardware. And we have carried out the LPG gas detection measurement, propane gas detection measurement, and ammonia gas detection measurement. We have developed the LCD localized display and attached to it. And we also developed the mobile based alerts. You can see a mobile screenshot here where the alerts are generated. We have implemented it with the GPS as well as the GSM module, which can have a SIM card, and that SIM is sending the remote alerts. Right. The programming of this is carried out in a text-based, environment, browser-based environment of Arduino hardware platform. Next slide, please. This is a view of its connectivity. You can prepare a test bed like this, where the Arduino platform, this is basically a main platform. It is shown here also. It is having various connectivity. It is having Wi-Fi port also. It is having Bluetooth port also. It is having Ethernet connectivity also. And then you can connect it with a hardwire format with the local LCD display, as well as you can generate the remote alerts using the GSM module. Next slide, please. Right, this is how you can develop a GUI for the remote user. Right, here a screenshot of a GUI is attached, right, which is developed in Software Lab View, which is very popular for GUI development. And a local display can be displayed with the or handled with the LCD. Right, you can also connect different types of sensors with this board, and program updates can be connected via local USB, which can be connected here using a pin, or you can also connect a Ethernet cable, or also you can connect an over-to-air programming, OTAP it is called, using the Zigbee or Wi-Fi mechanism. This GUI would be useful for representing the data to the remote user in a user-friendly manner. Right. Next slide, please. So here are the future research directions which we have identified. Development and testing of novel, smarter algorithm. Testing is also very important area, crucial area. Not only development, extensive testing is required. Remote data acquisition and monitoring, data mining, retrieval and analytics, privacy and secure data security and access authorization, supervised and unsupervised learning of smart devices. See, these smart devices are having ability to learn. They can be taught, and that is why you can develop a supervised as well as unsupervised learning by using artificial intelligence related algorithms. Ease of user configuration, right? Context awareness, right? The devices should be built with the context awareness, right? So the device will know that for which applications I am being deployed, in which network or which area or which domain I am being employed, right? The same device with different configuration or context awareness can be employed for different applications also, right? So context awareness is a key area here, and context specific program modifications are to be carried out. Nanotechnology and integration for miniaturization, for reducing the size and to house many different devices on the same board. Power consumption optimization, you can have sleep algorithms. System on concept implementation, on same chip you can implement the larger systems by miniaturization. Overall design improvements in terms of size, shape, color, etc. Right? Convenience enhancement you can carry out. You can work in this area also. This is a very good area of research. Convenience enhancements, fitment, output and comfort. Coexistence, right? When different devices are of different manufacturers are existing in the same network, or different networks, and those different networks are in the same geographical area, right? That is called coexistence. This is also creating a lot of problems, right? And they interfere with each other, and that is also a future research area which can be very interesting. Interoperability, scalability, repeatability is also very important area, and the most important area is cost effectiveness, market dynamics, right? So these are the important research directions which we have highlighted. Next one. Next slide, please. Government is giving funding for this kind of research projects. You can apply to Department of Science and Technology and Gujcost as well at the state level, as well as for Ministry of Electronics and Information Technologies, where specific programs are available, research funding programs are available, projects are available, under which the grant is sanctioned. I have identified a few one. For example, Core Research Grant, as well as NMICPS Cyber Physical Research Grant, industry relevant R&D and intensification of high priority area, right? These are the four research grants are available from DST. Similarly, MEITY is giving a research grant for hardware related research works, specifically in microelectronics, strategic electronics, and medical and ubiquitous computing. For local bodies, small research projects, minor research projects, you can get grants from Gujcost also for pilot scale development projects. Next slide, please. Next, okay. So let's conclude with this discussion today. Much has changed. Advances in safety, security, affordability, and maintainability now enable us to take the full advantage of technology for the challenging environments. But in terms of user's perspective, now significant paradigm shift has been observed, and we can see that from traditional wired technologies, people are moving towards upcoming wireless technologies. However, optimizing every facet of this technology is vital and imperative, and such objectives of high performance, high reliability, and high speed of accurate, efficient, reliable, and sustainable operation could only be achieved with effective automation and integration of solutions. These solutions has to be hybrid. These solutions need to be ubiquitous one. These solutions need to be collaborative one, right? So this is with the approach which one should take while developing solutions in this particular area are to be kept in mind with this particular parameters which I have identified. Right? These are this needs quite a vivid kind of approach, quite a collaborative approach is required. Otherwise, the application development will be very complex and not very user friendly. Next one. Next slide, please. So I express my special thanks to Shri Bhikhu Patel, sir, who is the chairman of CVM, Dr. Indrajit Patel, sir, president of CVM, Dr. Bhargav Gorodia, sir, HOD of the department, and main coordinator of this FDB, Professor GB Rathod, Professor RR Vashi, and the entire FDP organizing team for giving this me opportunity to present my views and share my expertise. I'm also thankful to the managements of DDU and BVM for their kind cooperation, and special thanks to this enthusiastic and learned participants. Thank you, everyone. With this, the session is open for question and answers. Any questions, please?
Please unmute yourself, and if you have any query, please ask. Kancham sir, please allow the access of microphone to all the participants so that they can ask the
Yes,
query
sir.
if they
I
have.
hope I could.
Give the permission to
I
participate.
hope I could complete before time, well within the time frame. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So mic permission is already given.
Okay. So participant, please
okay.
please unmute yourself, and if you have any query
Thank you,
regarding
Sri
the
Vidya ji.
session, please ask.
Yes. Any participants want to?
Thank you, Dr. Shivani. I'm also looking at the chat, and if you are unable to speak, you can post your question in the chat session. Chat box.
Sir,
also,
there
you
was
can
a
write down the
question in the chat box.
Okay.
Can we
Okay.
Hadoop
Can we?
for design of architecture of communication? Yeah, please.
Hello, sir.
Okay, can you elaborate your question, Smita ji?
Hello.
Can you elaborate your question?
Smita is there?
Sir, Smita, hello. Hello. Am I audible?
You are audible. Please go ahead.
Sir, this Hadoop architecture is there. So this Hadoop architecture, is it feasible for designing the network communication between short range, long range? Because this Hadoop architecture is being used for short range, long range. So is it feasible with a wearable device?
Thank you for asking such a nice question. Yes, it can be used. You can use it, but you have to customize into your application. Customization is required.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello. Sir, my voice is clear, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. Please
Sir,
go ahead.
actually, the implantable device is there. Sir, suppose it's there in our body. Hello.
Yeah, please
Yes,
continue
yes.
your question.
Yes, Sasikala ji, please ask.
Sasikala, sir, if the implantable device is there in body, what about the range of communication, sir? Because the person is moving in and there, or any specific range of communication is required for that one, sir, for monitoring purpose?
Yes, you have to consider all the low range communication, personalized area network, PAN type of technologies you have to consider, right? And that they would be collecting the data from the sensors, maybe on body or inside body, right? And from that you can transport that data to the remote location.
Okay,
right?
sir.
Poonam ji has asked one question. Yes. Sasikala ji, please go ahead.
Sir, actually, suppose that chip size should be small one, whether it is a wearable or implantable devices.
Yes. Using nanotechnologies.
For this, that material we can use for COMSOL physics software, sir, for doing that part.
Sorry, I am unable to hear your last word, last sentence. Which material? Are you asking about material?
For simulation part is I can use COMSOL physics software, sir, for material identification.
Nanotechnology related simulators are available, which you can use for a material simulation. Right? I will check with the nanotechnology lab. State of the art lab is available with DDU. That nanotechnology lab simulators, I will collect names of that simulator and I will get back to you.
So that nano simulator is open source or? So it's an open source tool, sir. Hello.
Yeah, some are commercially available softwares are also available, right? And open source softwares are also available with limited facility, right? So probably one has to purchase. We have purchased some softwares.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Meanwhile, Poonam asked some questions. Sir, as per security and power consumption are concerned with communication technologies, we can consider? Yes, yes, definitely. Definitely. Both are two important aspects. Both are two important aspects of consideration which must be considered. Specifically, security must be considered as far as whenever we are making a choice of communication technology, right? Because this is dealing with somebody's personal data. And we know how it can be misused also, right? Sudhaji has asked the question, sir, can we use the wearable device for detecting the seizure? If so, what type of devices we should prefer? Sudhaji, can you please elaborate? What do you mean by detecting the seizure?
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Sir, my question and my doubt is that many peoples, that is elderly peoples as well as the infant, sometimes they are getting affected by seizures. Once they get affected, they doesn't know when it come back again for them. So if you have said that regarding this wearable devices which we are using for upper part or the lower part, what you have explained. So my question is that can we use some wearable devices to detect that seizures? Because when we are getting that seizures, either our body temperature, the parameters, what we are going to measure in our body may be changed. So can we use this wearable device for detecting the seizures precautionally?
Yes. There are specialized devices available from the companies like Siemens and GE, which can be used readily, right? And in corporate hospitals, they are in practice.
So for small babies, like the babies which are below 1 year, like that, is it possible for them also to use wearable device, sir? Because we doesn't
Now,
know.
yes, as far as the elderly are concerned, if we explain them to behave in a proper way or move in a proper way, they will understand. But as far as the small kids are concerned, that would be slightly different part. I mean, it's a tricky part.
Sir,
I am
okay,
agree
sir.
with you.
Thank you, sir.
Right, but if they are admitted and they are into sleep condition or resting condition, people can try upon, but that should be in a proper clinical environment, clinical monitoring.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. Ramya ji has asked a question: can wearable devices used for early detection of cancerous cells? Yes, you can use it in combination with the sensors which are to be implanted in the body where we have a doubt of sensor. For example, if somebody is having a doubt that I am having a lungs cancer, I am having a particular organ cancer, because cancers are normally organ specific, right? So in that organ we can implant that particular sensor, and that wearable devices would be implanted inside that body part, right? And they will keep on detecting that data, keep on sensing that data, right? Now you have to have the learning of that sensor, that you have to understand what is the sensor affected data, what data is representing a sensor cancer infected cell, and what is non-cancer. That distinguish of data, that one has to be developed, right? That algorithm you have to develop, right? But the device which is implanted right inside the body to detect will keep on sending the data, right? So detection you can carry out outside, right? But it is possible. Kavita ji has asked the question, sir, what type of data converters are used in wearables? Normally they are A to Ds. Normally they are multiplexers and demultiplexers, and instrumentation amplifiers are used, right? Okay. Any further questions?
Sir, with respect to ECG, sir, are you able to hear my voice?
Yes.
Yeah. So with respect to ECG acquisition, can sigma delta modulators be used?
With Sorry, I could not hear your part of your with ECG application.
Sir, like all the variables will use data converters, no, sir? Analog to digital converters.
Sorry, I'm not getting. Can you post that question in the chat box?
Okay, sir. Okay.
I will be replying to that. Yes, okay. The question is, will all variables use ADCs? Yes, mandatorily, because all the natural signals are analog signals, right? None of our which are produced, right, are digital signals. We don't produce digital signals. We produce analog. The whole world is analog, right? Why we are using digital? Because the processing is simple. Processing is easy. Most of the data processing algorithms are available. Most of the data processing circuits are available in digital form, and that is why we are converting from A to D and D to A back, right? But the whole world around us is digital. Whatever I'm speaking is analog. Whatever I'm speaking is analog signal, right? Whatever video is being displayed, it is also an analog signal, right? The representation, the modification, the processing is digital, right? The whole world remains analog. Any signal you acquire, it is real time analog signal only. I hope I could answer your question properly, Kavita ji.
Yes, anyone have a question?
Okay, any further questions?
Okay, thank you very much. On behalf of EC Department, BVM Engineering College and Atal FTP for a wonderful and informative session. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So now, dear participants, we will meet at 2:15 for the next session.
Sorry, Professor Ronak,
Yes,
we will be having a discussion with the participants. Sir, thank you very much for your quite informative and wonderful session. We would be discussing about the further proceeding about the FDP. So if you want to exit the meeting, you can exit the meeting. Dear participants, there were a few queries related to the assessment mechanism that we are going to take. So we will be taking your queries now. So many of you were asking that what kind of test that you are going to conduct. So it will be a test where you are supposed to, we are going to give enough time for your test, and preferably the test will be in MCQ mode, right? Today evening after the session, we will be also sharing that assignment, and you need to complete that assignment in next 2 days. This we already discussed in yesterday's session. So I think if you have still any further query, you may please unmute yourself and you can raise your query. So if there is no query, we can conclude now, because earlier I found that many of you were asking that what kind of quiz that we are going to conduct. So I think this we have already discussed yesterday, but maybe because you may not be there, so I have just stated it that we will be circulating that quiz on Thursday evening, and you will be given time to complete the quiz up to Friday evening, as well as we will be circulating the assignment part today evening, and you will have to submit it by Thursday evening.
sir, will you share the assignment look mail ID registered regarding?
Hello,
Sir,
sir.
yes, I could not able to hear the earlier query.
Sir, assignment is for circulated through mails or otherwise in the group itself?
It will be
meeting chat.
circulated through mails, email, and
Okay.
sample will be also attached. So you will have to utilize that sample, right?
Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so wish you all the best. Complete your lunch and join us